So let me defer. I know, Mr. Saldivar, you filed this, requested today's setting, but it was my understanding that this was an agreed request. So I'll let you be the spokesperson for your motion.
Judge, it's agreed as to me and Cecilia Hillrun. I believe it's opposed by the department, and the ad litem, I'm not 100% sure. So, but we're requesting the children to go back home, Your Honor. My client's done all his services. I believe mom has too. I don't believe there's any continuing danger for the children to go home to. The last issue at the last hearing was food and a kitchen table. Pictures have been sent to the worker that the food has been stocked in the refrigerator, and we now have a brand new kitchen table for the kids to sit down and enjoy their meals, Judge. And with that, I could call the worker as my first witness.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
If I might respond, just for clarification.
Yes, it sounds like Mr. Saldivar indicated that the department's not in agreement. You may elaborate.
Thank you, Your Honor. And of course, I was not here at the permanency hearing before final order. Mr. McKestic covered for me as I was in another court. But my understanding, having reviewed the order, is the court made a very specific finding under section 5.2 that at that time, it was not safe for the children to return home. Now, the court then, as I understand it, in section 8.21, ordered specific additional services tailored to these parents to be provided by the department. My understanding from the caseworker is that these referrals ordered by the court have been made, and parents are set to participate in the services. There has been no change as far as my understanding or the department's. There's been no change in circumstances of the parents, and as they have not yet been engaging in the very specifically tailored programs ordered by the court, which they were very specific. It's hard to see how the home is now safe when they've not yet commenced the services that were being required by the court. The court has ordered the department to assist in finding resources within the county. That's being done. And the court also ordered the parties to participate in a family group conference and to discuss whether an extension would be in order. And the parties did agree. The department followed through on the agreement. We filed our motion to retain and extend the case so that the parents could work the services. So in every respect, the department is complying with the court's order, unless the move-ins can show that there's been some change in the circumstances since February 6th. We're still at the same point, Your Honor, but with the services that the court is requiring and the specifics, the specific help that the department is to provide, is in place. So I'm not sure that.
Let me just say this. These were my notes from the last setting. Permanency review before final order. The court continued the placement of the children in foster care and found both parents to be in compliance. FGC ordered to address concerns about driver's licenses, applications for food stamps, the cleanliness of the home, proper furniture, hands-on parenting classes, order for mom, and monthly hair tests for the parents going forward. I recognize jury demand filed and extension expected at the next hearing to allow services to continue, both parents present and admonished. So those are the court's notes from that hearing. I am going to say that I'm skeptical that everything that we addressed at that last hearing has been addressed by the parents in 1 month's time. And I think this, if you're prepared to show that there has been a material change since our last setting, we can address it. I just want to say that I came out here personally for this hearing to Catula on a day we didn't have court. We're having a Zoom hearing, but I don't want to get in the habit of having hearings in cases every month to assess continuing danger when they're not statutorily set either, unless there has been an absolute, every single issue we addressed at that last hearing has been addressed fully. I just want to say that this to me is a troubling pattern when we're already set to be back in just a month's time as well for our hearing for the trial and an expected extension. So I just want to share that those are my concerns and reservations. And I do understand that we made some very specific orders and addressed some specific concerns. And this court did find a continuing danger at the time. A month has passed. Maybe things have completely and utterly changed, but I think it's disingenuous, Mr. Saldivar, to say that the only issue was the furniture in the home and that the parents are compliant. They were compliant, but there were some other significant issues to address, including, the hands-on parenting for mom was a big part of that. And I can't believe that we've made significant progress with that service in just a short amount of time. Ms. Hellrung, I think you wish to respond.
What the material change in circumstances is this. First, we had a failed drug test on the part of dad from the armpit. That actually, he went, paid for another one. It's negative. 2, the home is in a better condition than it was. 3, this court ordered all parties to a family group conference. We went to a family group conference. I questioned Ms. Gonzalez 5 times as to what the continuing danger was. The only response I got back from the department was, and this was from Ms. Stephanie Kirkpatrick, that she wanted the parents to participate in the PAT program. We researched the PAT program, and it is a program that is in home and a prevention program. The parents have basically been denied any more than 4 hours every 2 weeks with their children. Because of Mr. Gomez's failed drug test, the department had a staffing without any of the parents present, trying to come up with a reason that these children shouldn't be returned home. So they focused on the fact that my client was terminated before. The client has been compliant. She may not be as, quote, bonded as the department would like her to be, but there is no continuing danger. Your Honor, I would argue there was no continuing danger at the February hearing, but the fact that you had that failed drug test by Mr. Gomez, the department is grasping. There is no continuing danger to these children to be placed back home. The in-home parenting program, which is the only program that the department has offered my client, is an in-home, which would be impossible for my clients to complete unless the children are returned. So as we stated in our motion, Your Honor, we believe that the continuing danger has been addressed. All of the nonsense that they were putting forth as to dangers have been addressed. There is food. There is a kitchen table and chairs. I believe both parents are working on a driver's license, but that does not affect the danger to the children. The in-home parenting class for my client can be done after the children are returned on a monitored return.
And just to add, the parents have food stamps. They showed the card. They sent proof of that to the department as well.
All right, so if this is a contested hearing, how much time are you all going to need? Because I set an adoption at 2. this afternoon. And then I set a meeting this afternoon as well for a conference I'm speaking at in a few weeks. So it sounds like we could be here all afternoon if we're going to rehash everything we went over at the last hearing. How long is this going to take?
Judge, I would say about 45 minutes to an hour. On my part, I don't know about
on your part.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Gonzalez, what's Mr. Cabrera's position?
Your Honor, he's in agreement to the monitor return upon the condition that there's at least 2 unsupervised visits to make sure everything all is well. So other than that, that was his only request.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, Mr. Cabrera wasn't at the FGC at the last, I guess he had a conflict. If the court decides to reset this so that we have more time, I believe that we can confer with the ad litem and the department. Maybe the attorneys can get together. We haven't had that opportunity since Mr. Cabrera wasn't at the FGC, and stating his position and that he's comfortable moving forward. If there's some unsupervised visits in between, maybe we can work something out so that we don't have to have this hearing.
I mean, at that FGC, I thought there was also supposed to be discussions about how to make the visits easier. Was that addressed at all?
No,
Excuse me, Your Honor, could you clarify, make them easier?
Well, I mean, I know that there's a distance involved, and I mean, I found both parents in compliance, and that we were going to work on ways to try to strategize. And it's hard for me to do on high without knowing everyone's schedule. So I thought that was an expectation that would be something to discuss, because it is a major point of contention that they're not, it's very difficult for them to have visits with the children.
You know, I think if I may interrupt, we did touch a little bit on that. Logistics was the main issue. And I believe placement was willing to supervise, but due to licensing, I think there was an issue with licensing or agency.
I don't think that foster parents can do that. And I think maybe Ms. Coffey addressed that at the last hearing as well, as I recall, that they're not in a position to do that.
We did discuss potentially getting Children Matter to supervise the visits as well. I don't know if that's been followed through on.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Your Honor,
so,
if I may.
Yes.
If I may say, the services ordered by the court, I'm sorry. I couldn't find my phone to turn it off before the hearing. Sorry about that. The services that the court has ordered, referrals have been made. As I stated earlier, the department is following through on each and every one of the services.
But how do you respond to Ms. Hellrung's point that the hands-on parenting is not available unless the children are in the home? Is that a correct statement or incorrect?
I am not sure. Stephanie Kirkpatrick is not here, and I personally am not familiar with that program. I do believe she has addressed it in the family group conference, but that's something I need to check on. I do not know, Judge.
All right, I'm going to do this. We are going to, I'm going to recess these proceedings for a moment. I want to do the adoption that I was scheduled to do at 2 and get that done and out of the way. I need to reach out and try to reschedule the meeting that I had scheduled for 2:30 this afternoon. And so I need time to do that. And in the meantime, why don't you all talk to each other and discuss how you wish to respond. I just want to say though, I better hear really material changes, because I don't want to set up a situation where you don't get the decision that you want at one hearing and a month later you ask for a monitored return and have this just be something that is requested and set up, that we have fully contested hearings on monitored returns constantly. If I just want to express that at this point, because I thought we had addressed what we were wanting to do, and I thought we had a time frame in place for trial in April, and it's 1 month from today. So I'm frustrated. I will say that at this point, because it's really nice for all of you, and I'm really happy to be able to have this convenience of Zoom settings. But I mean, when you set a hearing, I didn't have anything on this docket today. So we made a trip out here to Cotulla to be here on a motion that, I mean, we had some very concrete things that were established. If every single one of them is, then I may order a monitored return. But if they're not, and I have reason to find any continuing danger, I'm going to be pretty upset. I'm really going to be frustrated. So why don't you all confer, and I will ask you all to sign back in about 2:15.
Karen, can I call Ms. Gonzalez as my first witness?
Ms. Gonzalez, yes. All right.
Yes, Ms. Gonzalez. At the last hearing, there was concerns that the parents didn't have food in the home. Can you update the court on that situation?
Yes, since that last court hearing, I have done my unannounced visit for the month of February. I did get to meet with Bruno and Angel for about a good hour. They did let me know that they now receive food stamps. I had asked for the total amount. I know Bruno was supposed to send me that info, but I believe it was like a little over $600 a month. They did have food in the freezer. They did have food inside the refrigerator in the bottom shelf, and within the cabinets as well.
Okay. And there was concerns that the home may have needed to be cleaned. When you went to your visit, did you notice that the home was clean?
Yes, they have done some improvements. Especially, I know I always brought up the coloring, the markings. So they have done that as well. The home was cleaned during my unannounced visit. It was clean. Yeah.
Okay. There was some concerns about Mr. Gomez's hair follicle. Did you receive the latest hair follicle results?
Yes, I sent them to drug test, I believe on the 3rd, February 3rd, which was last week. I just received them. I checked this morning and they did come in.
Okay. And were they negative?
For his hair follicle, it was negative, and for his UA, it was negative as well.
Okay. Is Mr. Gomez working at this time?
He's working.
Do you believe that he can provide financially for the children if they're returned?
He's currently working. I do know that he also has a promotion, so will be getting a little bit more. I don't remember how much he was going to be getting per hour. We did not discuss that just yet. So he's working at this time, so he'll be able to provide.
Okay. And the mother's working as well, is that correct?
She just recently started. So during my unannounced visit a few weeks ago, she did let me know where she was at. I was able to verify proof of employment. I did speak to her manager as well. She's working.
Okay. And so that would be additional income that they can use for the children, is that correct?
Additional, yes.
And as far as another issue was the license, are the parents working on obtaining a driver's license?
Yeah, when I spoke with them, like I said, during my visit, I do know that Angel didn't want to wait until she got her first paycheck. And I know they were going to save. And she said she was going to start setting up those appointments on what was needed.
Okay. But they do have transportation in the form of public transportation and the grandmother. Is that correct?
Angel's mother is the one who does transportation to the visits and to all appointments that are needed.
Okay.
Public transportation, we have not discussed that. I don't know if they have public transportation in Cthulhu. I'm not sure.
Okay. But if there is, do you believe the parents would utilize that public transportation?
If there is, I'm sure they will. Yes.
Okay. And as far as the grandmother, has the department looked into the grandmother to see if she can assist in caring for the children and transporting the children?
I have not spoken to the grandmother as far as the placements are. Is that what you're asking?
Just that she'd be a frequent member of the family and visitor to the home. Has the department looked into the paternal grandmother at all?
You said paternal, so this is Bruno's mother?
I'm sorry, maternal grandmother.
Okay, maternal.
Yes, ma'am.
From what Angel tells me is that they do utilize her as a support. But other than that, I have not talked to her one-on-one. I'm
Okay.
talking about the mother. I have not.
Okay. As far as services, what services does Mr. Gomez have left?
As far as services, he continues to meet with Ms. Shanda Esparza, and that is for individual counseling.
Okay. Any other services that Mr. Gomez needs to complete?
He just continues random drug testing and parent-child visits. That's what he's doing.
Has Ms. Esparza provided you notes on Mr. Gomez's progress in therapy?
She provided, I believe, late December, early January's notes, but I have not received late February, early March. We just started March.
Were they positive notes or were they concerning notes?
Those notes were positive.
Okay. Any other concerns that you have for Mr. Gomez?
As of right now, no. Just like I said, when we met on February 21st, I did refer him to some services. I was able to speak with the lady who does the services, Ms. JC Gonzalez. She said she was going to be reaching out to the parents later this afternoon.
Okay, what services did you refer him to?
What we had discussed on the family group conference, which was going to be what we talked about, which was that PAT program, Parents as Teachers program. And I also tried reaching out to Children's Matters because I know we had all discussed that, it would be good for Children's Matters to be involved. I have reached out to them via phone, via email. I'm just waiting for them to go ahead and call me back to see when we can start these visits with the parents.
And as far as the PASS program, is that geared more towards Mr. Gomez or the mother in this case?
When I spoke with Ms. JC, it's both parents. They like to include both parents because they're in the home. She did mention, I was writing down some notes. She did mention that it's a really good program that they do have. It's a support group for on one-to-one. They will be able to go into their homes. They will be able to assist both of them inside the home and any questions that they have one-on-one. So I know this would work really well with them. So they would be in the home together. And it's also a support group for parents. So I believe it's really going to be a good program for both of them.
Okay, and that program can be utilized while the children are in the home, is that correct?
I spoke with Ms. JC earlier when we went on break. Ms. JC did mention that usually the children are placed in the home when they have these services, or if it's an open CPS case, they can also work with the children and also work with the families and still meet up with parents and children. So she said she was going to give me a call back. She is also in court. And I would be able to let you guys know a little bit more on what she tells me this afternoon.
And what was the acronym for again? What was the name of the class?
Parent as Teachers, PAT.
Okay, as teachers. So parents as teachers. Don't you think that having the children available while they're doing the work of the program would be more beneficial than doing two separate classes?
Like I said, I spoke with JC earlier and she said she's seen it work really well with children in the home and also with the open cases as they lean towards return. So she's going to go ahead and call me back a little bit more information as she was also in court in break as well.
Now, Mr. Bruno has Mr. Gomez and the mother have completed parenting classes before. Is that correct?
Yes.
So why are we a year into this case and now adding additional courses? Why wasn't this brought up earlier in the case?
I'm trying to see back when they did that class, sir. I believe that was before I came in. I don't have the exact date when they did the parenting and completed it, but I do know that they did complete a course.
Okay, so when did the concern arise that the department knew that an additional PAT class should be utilized?
We brought it up in the last court hearing where that's when we were talking more about Angel and how we saw her do things at family child visits. We had brought up, remember how we saw dad doing mostly all the work, and we had discussed this in the family group conference that we wanted to see her, maybe dad step back. We wanted to see mom create that bond with her child a little bit more, and her stepping in. So that's what we had discussed at the family group conference. So that since these are one-on-one classes, these classes will be able to be held inside their home. So any questions that Angel or Bruno may have, they can also address them with that worker who would be visiting them in their home.
The department's been monitoring these parents in their visits for over a year. Is that correct?
Since the case started, yes, sir.
And only towards the last hearing, the department started to notice this from mom. Is that correct?
I believe in December. We had brought that up in the last court hearing. It was December, January.
So from December to the beginning of this case, was mom engaged in the visits? What changed from the beginning of the case to December? What changed?
Mom is there. And like we mentioned in the last court hearing, is that we do see father doing a little bit more. Father's the one that initiates more of the contact.
Objection, non-responsive, judge. My question was what changed, not what my client's doing.
What changed? What we started.
I'll sustain that, and you can answer that question, Ms. Gonzalez.
Okay, so what changed was, like I mentioned earlier, that's when we started seeing, dad be a little bit more affectionate towards the children. And I discussed this with Bruno. We want mom to be a little bit more active. She's there sitting, but not there participating with the children.
So from December to the beginning of this case, was mom not engaged in the visits?
She was engaged there, but like I said, Bruno's the one that took on more like that motherly role.
So why did the department not bring those concerns to this court's attention or the parents' attention from the beginning of this case to December of 2022?
When I started seeing it was in December, sir. So that's why I brought it up in the last court hearing. And I did address it, to Bruno, and that's why in the FGC, we did address that as well. And from what I heard from the last person who supervised the visit, they did see mom doing a little bit more. So she's listening, to what we want to see.
I'm just confused. So she was appropriate at the beginning of this case till December, and then you noticed a change in her behavior in December. Is that the testimony? I wasn't in the case prior till mid-October, so I can only testify for what I saw during my time, sir. As a part of your job, do you review the record when you receive a case?
We staff the case, yes, sir.
But as a part of your job, as the caseworker, when you receive a case, do you review the case file and the original notes, the removal, those kind of things?
Yes, we review it, sir.
And what date did you take over this case?
I'm going to say it was October 15th. Yes, October 15th.
When you reviewed the case file in October, were there notes that mom was not engaging as much as Mr. Gomez in the visits at that time?
No.
So there was no prior notes telling the parents or the court that there was concerns that mom was not fully engaged with the children. Is that correct?
No.
Now, what danger does my client pose to the children returning home?
Right now, we want her, well, the safety of the kids, of course, is always first. So that's why we're saying that these classes will be appropriate.
Objection, non-responsive, judge.
Sustain. please just answer listen to the question and answer that. All right.
What danger does Mr. Gomez, what danger does Mr. Gomez have regarding the children? If their children return home, what danger does he pose in regards to the children returning home?
At this time, the safety of the kids, we want them to return home.
Objection, non-responsive, Judge.
Sustained. So ask another question. She's not answering.
What danger does the physical home pose to the children at this time?
No dangers in the home. Everything has been fixed. And I know that they are currently trying to move to a different housing at this time with Cotulla Housing Authority. So the current placement there's no danger to this home.
Now, this case originally started with the removal was based on drug use. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there a continuing, are the parents testing negative at this time?
Yes, sir.
Have the parents resolved the issue of drug use at this time?
Yes, sir. At this time, yes.
Pass the witness, Judge.
So you just testified as to the PAT program and that it can be very beneficial for the parents, hands-on parenting, correct?
I was told that today, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the design of the program is to be in-home, is that correct?
It's in-home. They'll be able to work with the children while in-home. And then
Okay.
in open CPS cases, they can work with both.
I'm not asking what they can do. I'm asking what the program is designed to do. Is it designed to be an in-home parenting class?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. With that added support and knowing that she has the maternal grandmother and Bruno there to assist her, what is the danger, the ongoing danger, the physical health of these children should they be returned?
I know we can't discuss the past, but as of right now, I know that they're both trying really
Objection,
hard.
non-responsive. I'm asking the danger now. I'm not asking about the past. I'm asking what is the danger that is posed to the physical health of these children?
I believe none at this time. I mean, I know they're trying, they're doing what they need to do. We're just
I have
trying to
nothing.
get back into these classes.
I have nothing further.
Ms. Bradley.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez, you just heard the question from Ms. Helrung, if there's any danger in the home posed to the children. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, she asked that.
Okay, and Mr. Saldivar had also asked you if the home situation was better, and you indicated there were improvements to the physical aspect of the home, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything specific to Miss Angel Lopez, the mother of the children, that causes you to feel the children would not be safe in her care?
Objection asked and answered.
I can ask that, Judge. I'm asking it in a different way, and I'm asking it specifically directed as to what Ms. Gonzalez believes could be concerns.
I'll overrule. I mean, this is the central question, if there's a continuing danger or not. And so Ms. Gonzalez, I mean, I'll just note, I've heard her asked by multiple people and she said there's no danger. And she, you know, that's what she said. But if you think you're going to get a different response, Ms. Bradley, go ahead. If you can ask it a different way.
All right. Are you telling me to ask it a different way than I did?
No, I'm just saying,
Oh.
we've got 2 out of the 3 attorneys so far asking the same question. So I'll give you a stab at it too.
Thank you, Judge.
Go right ahead.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez, do you have any concerns at all about Miss Angel Lopez's ability to safely parent the children?
Yes.
What are those concerns?
Well, the concerns were that the ones I keep bringing up are the ones what we see during these visits. And that's why these new program, these new classes will be able to give her more of a hands-on experience.
Okay, and what are the concerns that are observed during the visits that concern you?
Well, the ones I keep saying are, you know, we just want to see mom do a little bit more.
Are you asking her to interact with the kids?
Interaction with the children, changing diapers, being a little bit more involved, because we have been seeing Bruno do all the work. So that's
I'm
where
sorry, I couldn't hear you. You've seen improvement? Is that what you just said?
we would like to see a little bit more improvement with mother.
Okay, and to what level do you need to see improvement?
Well, we want her to be comfortable because like when Bruno's at work, we want her to be, she's going to be the one with the children during the day. We just want to make sure, you know, she's doing what she has to do, changing, you know, like I said, the diapers, you know, you're crying babies. So just giving her a little bit more hands-on experience with these new classes with the PAT program.
Okay, did I hear that Miss Gonzalez is currently working during the day?
She's working as well. I don't have her schedule. She gave me last week's schedule.
Okay, so as of last week, she was working, she was still employed?
No, she's working. She is.
All right, still working as a cashier and a stalker?
Yes, I spoke with her supervisor.
All right. So you want to see her interacting more? What could the services that you've talked about do for her ability to interact or to parent successfully or safely?
These are the one-on-one classes that she's going to be having. So instead of like a group classes, this is going to be catered definitely to her. She'll be able to ask all the questions she wants. I spoke with JC, actually, she was just calling me to return my phone call. So these classes are beneficial for the parents.
Okay, so I've heard you talk about how beneficial they are, but you've told Miss Hellrung and Mr. Saldivar, well, Mr. Saldivar for his client, Miss Hellrung for her client, if I heard correctly, that there was, quote, no danger. And that is your answer? Is it would be beneficial, but not dangerous for the, I'm sorry, the courses will be beneficial, but there is no danger at this time? Is that what you're saying?
Objection asked and answered, Judge.
I'm just trying to
I'll
clarify.
allow that clarification. I'll overrule that. Can you answer the question, Ms. Gonzalez?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So I've heard you testify to the court about the benefits of all these services that the court was wanting the department to explore in the FGC, and you've talked about the benefits to Miss Lopez about if she does the services. Yet, and so you're advocating the services, right?
I am, and I thought we were all in agreement with this, that it would be beneficial for the parents to have these classes.
Okay. And that is what the department is prepared to give, right?
They've already been referred, and like I said, they just called me, so hopefully they'll be able to set up those classes today.
And yet more classes, are they necessary for the safety of the children, or are they just beneficial to the parents? Which is it?
She said it was going to be for both. They're going to help the parents and then also help the children as well. So if they have questions on how to do this, they'll be able to answer it on the spot.
And do you know how these services will do both? How will they benefit and the parents and protect the children at the same time?
I would need to clarify. Like I said, she was just calling me back. She did say she was going to call Bruno this afternoon. Other than that, I really don't know how. I know there will be assigned a worker, and a worker will be going into their home and visiting their home. But I don't know anything else as far as the program.
Okay, so your answer that to Ms. Helming's question that there's no danger from Ms. Lopez to the children, is that still a correct statement? Are you still telling that court that's what you believe at this time?
Objection, asked and answered, Judge, multiple times.
There does seem to be a good bit of leading through this. We as well, we know what we're getting at here.
I'll sustain it. I mean, Ms. Gonzalez has said there's no danger. So, I mean, let's just move on. There's no, go ahead. So let's move on to a different question.
All right. Will you be talking to the maternal grandmother about any kind of support she might be able to assist the children with?
Yes, I can go ahead and get the information from Miss Angel, and maybe we can stop by and visit with her in her home and see what she has to say.
All right. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Mr. Cabrera.
Your Honor, I think we've been through them all. I want to address the court in closing, but I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. Any other witnesses, Mr. Saldivar?
No other witnesses, Judge.
All right. Ms. Selrung,
No witnesses.
Ms. Bradley, any other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'd like to call Miss Angel Lopez, please. Thank you so much. Hello, Miss Lopez. How are you doing?
Good.
Are you still working at the Lowe's Market at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been there?
It's been going about 3, going on 4 weeks.
And what is it exactly that you're doing now at this job?
I'm a cashier.
Okay. And how many hours a day do you spend working the cash register?
I go in from sometimes 3 in the morning to
No, not 3, like 3 in the evening to 10.
yeah, 3 in the like 3 p.m. all the way till 10:30 at night.
Okay. Is that when the store closes at 10:30 at
Yeah.
night?
10:30.
I see.
Sometimes I leave at 9:30.
Okay. And do you ever go into the store in the morning?
Yes, there was one time where they made me, and sometimes they have to call me to go in early. They made me go in at 7 in the morning, so I had to be there by 6:55.
I see.
Mm.
And is that when the store opens?
Yes, 7 in the morning.
Okay, so that's a very long day, isn't it?
But they have me scheduled for different times.
Right. Now, do you do your cashier work only, or do you sometimes do stock the shelves? Or I think that's what
Yeah.
you're.
Yeah, I do stocking. I do stocking, cleaning, and I also do cashier and what is it? Putting the groceries in the back. So I'm stocking and cashier at the same time. And I go to the back and stock all the items. And I do the greens. I wash them and everything.
Okay, that greens would be like the produce, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, the vegetables.
Okay, good. All right. So, how many days a week do you work?
Every day. Sometimes I have 1 day off. Sometimes 2.
Oh,
Depends.
okay. Okay. So, is Mr. Gomez still working?
Yes, ma'am.
And I heard someone say he's gotten a promotion. Did you hear that?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point. What is the relevance of this line of questioning?
I'm getting to it, Judge. I am. I promise.
Can you explain?
Yes. I'm trying to find out about childcare and where that's going to happen.
All right. I think that's relevant. So I'll overrule that objection.
So Miss Lopez, your husband just got a promotion, right?
Yes.
And what do you know what his new position will be?
Yes, as shift leader.
Shift leader. Okay.
Yes.
And do you know like what his hours will be? Is that at the Golden Chick or Golden Nugget?
Yes, Golden Chick. And yes, I know his hours. They have 8 to 4.
Okay,
Morning all the way to 4.
okay. And is that every day?
Yes.
I see. So Ms. Lopez, have you thought at all about who would watch the children if they?
Yes, ma'am, I have. And they're gonna work with our schedule. My work knows that I am in CPS and they know about my services. I already talked to my manager about that. And I am going to change my schedule too. I already talked to my mom. Just right now, I'm not changing it until I know for sure we're gonna get the kids back.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
So
but I will be coming home and being with them.
I understand. So did you say you're going to talk to your mom? Is she going to be helping with this?
I actually talked to her and she says she won't be able to be a person to,
For them not to live with you, help us out, but
yeah, she'll help us out, but she won't be a person for the home. The home, for them to be there with her.
Okay, but at this time, does she transport?
Yes, she does.
Where does she take you?
To all of our appointments.
Okay. All right. Have you looked into daycare yourself at all?
Yes, ma'am. I actually called one here in Cotulla, Texas. It's over here by the elementary school. My mom used to work there. I called them and they said they do work with CPS.
Okay.
Yes.
Did they have any openings or a waiting list, or do you know?
They did want us to call back in January. I was gonna recall them and see if they still will take us or not.
Okay.
To see if they have any openings.
I see. Do you know the name of this daycare that your mom used to work at?
Yes.
What is it?
Hold on, ma'am. I have to ask my mom real quick. But she used to work there and it's over here by the old elementary school.
Your Honor, I don't think it's relevant what the name of the daycare is.
But I can get it for you if you really need it.
Your Honor, it is relevant because she's being asked what daycare she's trying to contact.
I think daycare for 2 working parents is a critical consideration for this court to think about if you're asking me to order the children returned home. And that is a safety issue. And I'll just say that up front. So yes, it's relevant. She can answer the question.
Okay.
Now, Miss Lopez,
what's the name of that daycare?
Yes. My mom's actually on the phone right now, so I'm going to get it from her.
okay. What I'm about to ask you is, did you check to see how much it would cost to put those children in daycare?
No, but it's called.
Okay. So you don't know how much it costs?
Because our CPS worker, Casey, said that CPS will be funding the daycare. If both of us are working and we both are working. That's what she said.
Okay. But you don't know the ordinary or the usual cost of it, right?
I don't.
Okay. That's
But
fine.
I can call and get that.
Okay. Now, Miss Lopez, do you know when the daycare opens and when the daycare closes?
No, but I can call to see.
No, that's okay. I appreciate your willingness to help. I'm just trying to see how far along you've thought this out. That's all.
Yes, I have. I thought everything out.
Okay. All right. Miss,
A month before this hearing, I did.
okay. Miss Lopez, do you still go to the mental health?
Yes.
What do you do? What
For my probation.
For probation, for the
Yeah.
felony probation?
Yes.
Okay, is that a requirement of your felony probation?
Yes. And I'm actually gonna finish in April.
Okay, are they letting you off early?
Yes, she told me. She's gonna let me go April.
Okay, because otherwise you were supposed to be off for 3 years, on for 3 more years, right?
I don't know. But I remember signing a contract with the judge. But
Okay.
she told me, the lady over there, Priscilla, she said that she's gonna let me go in April.
So you were placed on probation for 7 years,
Yeah.
March 26th,
Mhm.
2019, right?
Yes.
Do you know how long you were supposed to be on probation?
2027,
Okay, that's
2027 or 2026 is the last.
okay. So the individual who was injured in the fire that you set, do you know?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
I'm asking who he is to her, if she knew him, if there was, what the circumstances were, Your Honor. It goes to
Your Honor,
safety.
no, it does not. This happened 7 years ago. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Judge, I'd object. There's no concerns from the caseworker regarding the line of questioning that Ms. Bradley's asking.
I'll sustain that objection.
All right. Ms. Lopez, so, do you know a person by the name of Rocky
Objection.
Castillo?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance, Miss Bradley?
I don't know who Rocky Castillo is, but Miss Lopez was convicted of assaulting him.
Your Honor, really? I'm going to object to the relevance. That has nothing to do with whether or not she's safe with her children.
We're talking about safety, Judge. And safety goes to whether or not someone is assaultive.
Not the reason for removal. This is a stretch.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. Why don't we move on? I mean, I think Miss Bradley, I would be more inclined to do this. None of this was addressed with Miss Gonzalez. She had multiple times to talk about concerns of the department. I didn't hear anything about this being any remotely a part of any concern. Maybe it is, but she was completely unable to articulate that if that is a concern of the department. So I think we need to move on. So what's your next question?
Ms. Lopez, are you with me? Hi. Okay, so one of the things I believe you were working on was your driver's license. And what is the status on that, please?
I still have one more. I get paid on the 15th, so I will be taking that. But like I said, I wanted to wait because I had read on the website for the driver's ed that because it takes you 90 days to take your driver's test, and if I don't find a car, because I don't have a car, like I said, and that's why I'm saving up. I mean, I just started working like 3 weeks ago. I can't save up for a car like that.
Okay.
With a finger. So I'm waiting to save up for a car.
Okay,
That's
you
why I
said
have to take the driver's test, yeah, because they give me 90 days to take the driver's test with the car, and I don't have one.
okay, you said you have one more. What does that mean? You have
One more course on the driver's ed.
One more course?
Yes.
What
Because
is
you have to take, I'm doing my courses online for the driver's ed. I just have one more course to do, and then I could take my driver's test.
what is the course that you need?
It's the written test.
Okay, and do you go into the Department of Public Safety for that, or do you do it online?
I'm doing them online.
Okay, all right. I'll pass the witness.
All right. Mr. Cabrera, any questions from you?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Saldivar?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Elrond?
Yes. Ms. Lopez, if you can just stay seated because you're a little distracting when you're moving around, okay?
Yes.
Were you at the family group conference?
Yes.
That's the additional parenting class. The PAT program?
Yes.
Okay. If once they contact you, you are fully prepared to engage in the PAT program. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's your understanding these are in-home, hands-on parenting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, one of the concerns the department raised at the family group conference is you weren't as engaged as Bruno. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. What has changed since the family group conference? Have you guys done something different in the visits since that?
I was more engaged with Layla.
Okay.
And in the last visit, I did actually get a holder. So yes, she was more engaged with me too. We had a great time and a great visit.
Okay. And if you could just ask Bruno not to answer the questions I'm asking you. Okay.
Okay.
So if the court were to return the children to you, do you feel that you can meet their needs with assistance from the PAT program and from your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your mother is in agreement to help you out and be there if you need anything, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that the PAT program also has a parenting support group?
Yes.
Okay. And are you willing to engage in that?
Yes. Anything I have to do to get them back.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else? If not, any other witnesses? Ms. Bradley?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call the CASA volunteer,
Miss
Sarah Holden.
Ms. Holden?
Ms. Holden, you are retired now, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you been able to attend any visits between the parents and the children that are the subject of this case?
I attended one last month and then again just last week.
All right. Now, what was your prior occupation?
I was a medical transcriptionist for 25 years, and then I worked for the federal government as a fruit and vegetable inspector.
I see. Okay. So, how long have you been a CASA?
About a year.
Okay. And do you have children of your own?
I had 2 children, 3 grandchildren, and now 2 great-grandchildren.
All right. So when you watch the visits, you said there was one last week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I wasn't here for the February 6th hearing, so I don't know the exact concerns, if any, that you expressed, but can you tell us if you had concerns about anything you saw at the visit this last week?
I had still the same concerns I've had since the prior visit. Mr. Gomez is very good. He watches the children. He watches his wife to make sure she's taking care of the children, just like he's answering questions for her all ago. Ms. Lopez does not seem to recognize dangers to the children. There were 2 times that Layla almost stepped off the table that she was standing on, to the point of almost falling, and he would have to tell her to catch her or move her because she just didn't recognize that it was an issue.
Mr. Gomez would have to tell Miss Lopez?
Yes.
Was she paying attention?
No.
Okay. And when you say she was about to step off, what was it she was about to step off of?
The picnic table. Layla was standing up on the picnic table.
Okay. And what did Mr. Gomez do to intervene or intercede?
He would tell her to catch her and move her over.
And then what would happen, or what did happen?
She would catch her and move her over. I noticed this time over last time, she would get angry with him for mentioning it. We had just been through a family group conference where it said that she needed to put more into the children and more into the being the mother and stuff. This was like 3 days later, and it was like the transporter told me that Layla had had a dirty diaper and the mother did not change it. She handed her off.
I'm going to object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is basically shared duties, just communicating, and it's the CASA volunteer checking into all these different things that are transpiring. I think that's what I think that's within her purview.
Observations appropriate as to what other people are telling her is hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection for the hearsay statements. I mean, I've heard and understand Ms. Holden's own observations. Did you want to move on to your next question?
Yes. Ms. Holden, how long did this visit last, by the way?
It was 4 hours. I watched about 2 hours of it.
Okay. And were you watching it yourself, or who was watching it with you?
I was with the transport aide from Belong.
Okay. Did you actually see this situation happen where the diaper wasn't changed that you were trying to tell us about?
Objection.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Was that the extent of your concern in what you observed, that Ms. Lopez was not attentive to potential dangers involving the children?
I did observe that if she was ever with one of the children, and if Mr. Gomez could not see them, he would move to where they were in his line of sight so he could monitor the situation, I guess is a polite way to put it. She's very childlike. The kids were playing on the swings, and she was pushing them from behind. He was trying to catch their feet, and they were laughing and stuff, and they were kicking at him, and it was fun. Well, she immediately ran and got in a swing and said, "Come play with me, Daddy. Come play with me, Daddy," like she was still another child. That was odd and just a little bit creepy. But that's my personal
objection as to characterization.
Judge, she's being asked what she observed, and if she describes it in that way,
it's overruled. That's her opinion, and she's entitled to give it.
So, Miss Holden, did you find that interaction concerning?
It is concerning mainly because if nobody is observing Ms. Lopez, observing her children, then the safety is an issue. Because I have seen multiple occasions where Mr. Gomez has to caution her as far as their safety. She just doesn't recognize it on her own, or doesn't appear to. I'm not going to say she doesn't care, because I think she does care. She just doesn't have the capacity to understand situations that might cause hurt to a child.
Miss Holden, do you have any animosity towards Angel Lopez?
Oh, not a bit. I like her a lot. I like both of them a lot. It's that's what makes this so hard, because I know they care about their children, and I have to have discussions with myself all the time that I have to think about the safety of the children, not whether I like somebody or not.
And you were here earlier today when the services, back on February 6th, and today when services for the parents were discussed, correct?
Yes, and it was my understanding in the family group conference that the PAT program could be conducted either in the home or in visitation. And it was my understanding, and I may be wrong, that the PAT program was going to be set up to do visitation. I would like to see a visitation with strictly the mother and not Mr. Gomez instructing her on what to do. Simply the mother one-on-one with the children, because I think that would show a lot. And I think that it was my understanding that Pat comes in and instructs, and then at the end of their visit or whatever, they give their opinion on what needs to be improved on, that was part of it. For some reason, we seem to have been gone today to where the only place they can go is home. And I don't agree with that yet, not without some kind of supervision.
What do you perceive a danger to the children if they are returned to the home at this time?
I perceive a danger as far as just strictly negligence from the capabilities of the mother. I don't see a malicious danger. I don't see a anything like that. I just think it's not being able to recognize that there is a danger.
And what kind of dangers would you be concerned about?
Falling down the stairs, a bath possibly. I mean, if the child goes under the water, is she going to recognize that, oh, this should not be happening? Stuff on the stove, burning with the child. I mean, 2 and 3-year-olds, they're worse than little monkeys. And they're going to be in everything. And, you know, don't run down the stairs. That doesn't work. So if she falls and she's unconscious on the bottom, is Angel going to recognize that that's a problem and call somebody? You know, again, I do not fault Angel. I do not believe this is something that she can, that is her fault. I think it's just life gave her limited abilities, and she can be taught multiple things by rote over and over and over again. She cannot be taught to be proactive on dangers.
And I don't know if there's anything else that you have a concern about that I have not addressed. If so, what would that be?
The only other concern I have is the competition she seems to have with her daughters with their dad. Like I said, with the swings and stuff the other day, that was strange.
Have you noticed anything like that on any other occasions?
No, because I've never seen them with the children anywhere else other than that.
Oh, I meant on any other occasion that you were supervising.
No.
Okay. All right. What is your recommendation, Ms. Holden, to the court?
I am full agreement that this needs to be looked into further. I think there were some strange occurrences going on with the mother's face during the family meeting last week, which were indicative of maybe continued drug use.
Objection, Your Honor.
I know she's testing negative, but there are many synthetics out there that don't show up
Your Honor,
either.
I'm going to object. She is not qualified to testify to that.
Ms. Hellrung, I'm going to overrule. I mean, she's sharing her concerns, and I can take the fact that she's not an expert in drug matters into consideration, but this is her lay opinion that she's entitled to provide.
I'm certainly not an expert on drugs. I am an expert on medical terminology. The stuff that I was seeing in the family group meeting was like tardive dyskinesia, which is usually caused by a psychotherapy drug.
Your Honor,
Objection.
again, I'm going to object to this.
Actually, that would be in your favor, Ms.
I'm gonna sustain the objection just because a question wasn't asked. So let me defer to Ms. Bradley and ask you for your next question.
I think you were going to try to answer what your recommendation was to the court, and I'm not sure you finished with your recommendation, aside and apart from any any activity on?
I recommend that we stick with the court opinion from February the 6th and extend this further rather than having to make a decision right now. Because my decision right now is that these children should not go home.
Do you believe that any amount of unsupervised care by Angel Lopez would be any concern to you?
Yes, it would be a concern. I believe any unsupervised care with Miss Lopez without Mr. Gomez there would be very concerning.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Yes, during your visits, you mentioned that Mr. Gomez would assist the mother, and so he was able to help her and keep the children safe. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any indication that Mr. Gomez can't do that in their home?
No, not at all. I have no issues with Mr. Gomez and his parenting at all.
So you believe that Mr. Gomez can keep the children safe? Is that correct?
As long as he's there. Yes.
As long as he's co-parenting with the mother, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen the mother operate a stove?
No.
Have you ever seen her give the children a bath?
No.
But yet you said you had concerns that she might burn the children or drown the children. Is that correct?
I have concerns that she does not notice when something might occur that is a danger.
Have the children ever been injured or hurt during the visits?
Actually, yes, they have. When one of the previous visits, the mother opened the door at McDonald's and sliced the foot open on the older child. Because
okay. And were you there when it happened?
No, sir. But I have
you have no personal knowledge of what happened at that visit, correct?
I do have the medical records.
You have no personal knowledge what happened at that visit, is that
no,
correct?
Sir. No, sir.
Okay. Other than that, do you have any personal information or knowledge that the children were hurt by either parent at any of the visits that you witnessed?
No personal knowledge, no.
And it's your opinion that no matter what class the mother takes, she won't be able to recognize these concerns of yours, is that correct?
I don't know, sir.
Is that your opinion here today?
Your Honor, she just answered that question.
I mean, so your objection to asked and
Asked and
answered, I'll
answered, yes.
sustain it. You can ask your
Pass
next
the witness.
question, Mr. Seltzer. All right,
That's the
Ms.
witness.
Hellrung,
No questions.
Mr. Cabrera.
Briefly, Your Honor, thank you. So you're at the end of this, when mom has taken whatever classes that are going to be needed, whatever classes CPS is going to be asking for, your recommendation at that point is likely going to be termination?
No, sir. Like I said a while ago, I do not know. It's possible.
Well, if I can remind you, your testimony.
If you want to ask me right today what I think, no, I don't think she's capable.
I'm clarifying right now because you previously said just now that mom can't be taught.
I said I didn't know if she could be taught.
No, you said mom can't be taught. Your words were mom can't be taught to be proactive.
I said okay, fine.
Those were not your.
She needs to be proactive.
Okay, let me just stop. Can I just stop for a second? My poor court reporter, Ms. Gaddis, can only take one person at a time. So if you can ask the question, Mr. Cabrera, and then allow Ms. Holden to respond, let's not speak over each other. All right. So Mr. Cabrera, you may ask your next question.
Okay. If your feelings are that mom cannot be taught to be proactive, why is your recommendation for her to take additional classes when it appears that based on your testimony, you're not going to be recommending reunification?
Because it's possible that she can be taught. I'm not an expert.
But
I would like to see these in the family group.
If you can wait for a question. You understand?
Can she answer? I mean, I feel like you're cutting her off before she's answering the question, Mr. Cabrera. So
I'm cutting her. I believe she did answer. I'm cutting her off before she goes off on the tangents that I feel like.
Well, then you're talking over her. So that's,
Okay.
I mean, if you need to say objection, non-responsive, and then I can respond. But
Okay.
this, I just can't keep this going. So ask your question, Mr. Cabrera.
Okay. I don't believe I have any more questions for her. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? I think Ms. Bradley,
May I actually answer that last question, Judge?
can you just restate the question, Mr. Cabrera? I'm sorry, you all were both talking over. I didn't hear anything. I'm going to be honest. So if you want to.
Thank you, Your Honor. My question was, today you stated that mom cannot be taught how to be proactive. So my question is, what good would these additional classes be if your feeling is that mom's not going to be able to be taught in the future?
Because I don't know everything. They really said this PAT program was very good. It's possible that with hands-on parenting and teaching, they can teach her to watch for things that happen. I don't know.
Okay. And do you have any current concerns as to dad?
No.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Bradley?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to ask Mr. Bruno Gomez some questions, please. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Gomez. Congratulations on getting your promotion.
Thank you.
And when does your promotion start?
As soon as I finish up my courses they have me doing, I have some videos that I have to watch, and then I have 100 questions I have to answer afterwards. Right now, whenever I log in, I'm considered a shift leader. I'm doing my shift leader duties. I'll get the pay as soon as I answer my 100 questions and get those videos done.
And this is at Golden Chick, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you worked there?
I want to say going on close to a year, within 7-8 months or so.
Okay. So when you become is it shift leader? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Where in the rank are you? Is the only person above you the store manager?
Objection, relevance, Judge.
I'm just asking for his level of responsibility.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. Can you move on to your next question, Ms. Bradley?
All right. So, Mr. Gomez, what I'm getting at is you seem to be displaying a great deal of initiative and responsibility in getting a promotion and an anticipated pay raise and more responsibility, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And will that increase your hours at the store as well?
It already has. What I'm working right now is from 8 to 4 in the morning. I mean, 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening. Before I was getting like 25 to 30 hours a week, 25 to 35, somewhere around there. And now my hours have increased a little bit more. But the general manager says she's willing to work with my schedule, whatever I'm needing to do.
Okay. And have you had any conversations with Angel about how you're going to balance the childcare?
With the childcare, we were talking about our hours together. Like she could work mornings and then I could work nights, or I could work all mornings and she could work nights, and we could just go, to where we have the babies with us. Or even if we have to work the same hours, the daycare option is, there. and we want to put them in daycare.
Okay.
And
So
I'm
you
willing
have-
to, ma'am,
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I'm willing to call like whenever this hearing is done to see like if there's any openings and what are the times for the daycare to happen and get all that done.
Okay. So you have had these conversations and would Miss Lopez's mother be, I know she doesn't want to be primary childcare, but would she be able to assist you if there was a situation where, I don't know, you had to stay late and Miss Lopez was working also? Is there anyone who can kind of cover for you like that?
Yes, ma'am. Her mom would be able to come to our apartment and help watch the kids and help her out with the kids.
Has she said she's willing to do that?
As long as she comes over here, she's willing to do it.
What do you mean, as long as she's comes over here, she's willing?
To come to the apartment to help her out.
Okay, are there some times she's not willing to come to the apartment?
She usually goes to work. She goes to work from
7 in the morning.
No, she goes to work from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning.
And she's off at 7 in the morning.
I see. All right. So she works the night shift, right?
Yes, ma'am. She does.
Okay. Where is that?
At Candlewood.
What's
It's
that?
a hotel.
Motel?
Yes, ma'am. A hotel.
Okay. All right then. That's all I have. Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Gomez, I think
Yes,
you
ma'am.
heard the concerns of Angel being alone with the children. They want to implement the PAT program, which is an in-home parenting class. If the children were returned, and there's still an ongoing concern with Angel watching the children alone, would you be able to modify your work schedule, find daycare, or have her mother present until such time as those concerns can be addressed?
Yes, ma'am. That will be no problem.
So if the court were to order a monitor return, then you would be more than willing to work with the department and with Mr. Cabrera and CASA to make sure that there were other people who could assist Angel until such time as the department has addressed those concerns, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if the children were returned home, you would be okay if any time either CASA or Ms. Gonzalez or anyone wanted access to the home to make sure that Angel was not unsupervised with the children until they eliminated those concerns. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the department's concerns that Angel may need additional assistance until she can be unsupervised with the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you can, as you testified, modify your schedule and get support from her mother, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nothing further.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right,
No, Your Honor.
I have a question for you, Mr. Gomez. At this time, you and Ms. Lopez, you're a committed couple and you're asking for reunification of your children to the both of you, not you by yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that's even if this court were to have the opinion that it would be unsafe to return the children to Ms. Lopez alone.
What was that, ma'am?
I mean, if this court were to make, has an opinion that it would be unsafe and dangerous to the children to have them returned to Ms. Lopez's care, you're still committed at this time and planning to move forward, staying a couple with Ms. Lopez?
I feel like she has what it takes, Your Honor, to be there for the kids. She has, before this whole thing ever happened. She is a good mother. She does take them baths. She does cook for them. She, all in all, is good with the girls. As far as them saying that they feel like our visitations haven't been going well, it's noted that every visitation that we had, the visitations have been going good. Now, I may spend a little bit time more with Layla. That's my baby right there. And that's a fatherly instinct. I like holding her and all that. And there was something that
All right,
sorry.
it's all right. You've answered my question. I don't I think all right. Mr. Saldivar, it's your motion, so you may make your arguments.
Yes, sir. My client's asking the children to return home, Judge. They've done all the services. Towards the end of this case, the department started voicing concerns once Mr. Gomez had a positive hair follicle, what turned out to be an armpit hair follicle. That was overcome. There's no drug concerns at this time. The parents have been testing negative this entire case. And that was the point of removal. Both mom and dad have participated in services. You've heard from mom. She's working. She has responsibilities at work. They're co-parenting. Mr. Gomez, will assist mom in situations where he feels that she needs assistance. It's co-parenting. He's helping her, making sure the children are safe. You heard from the caseworker who's in charge of this case, who talks to the parents, talks to all the parties, that there's no immediate danger to these children if they return home. The services will continue. They'll be in the home. They can address any concerns that mom is lacking, or any services. The department can monitor the children in the home. We have a maternal grandmother that can assist the parents in taking care of them. We have the option of daycare. Your Honor, there's just no need for the children to stay in foster care at this time when the parents have a safe, stable home, that the department has no danger concerns at this time.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Briefly. Okay. Ms. Gomez is, in the minds of the department, has a limited intellect. Okay. That's not going to change. These children were never taken because of her intellect. All of these concerns were raised after Mr. Gomez tested positive on his armpit hair. Obviously, the CASA advocate doesn't believe that she can handle the children based on 2 visits that she's seen them. They see the children every other week for 4 hours. My client is very nervous, as you saw her moving around. She feels like she's under attack, and she's not comfortable being watched and, prodded, and the constant attacks on her. If the PAT program is going to work, it needs to be hands-on, and frankly is designed to be in the home. Mr. Gomez has stated if there are concerns, he will be there. She has her mother there. We have protective daycare. I think protections can be put into place until such time as my client meets whatever standard the department wants to set. The problem is all they have are barriers, and they do not in any way say what she needs to do. She has gotten nothing but virtual services this entire case. When we went to the family group conference, and again, repeatedly, like we just did today, as Ms. Gonzalez, what's the danger to the physical health of these children? She said there really isn't one. Clearly, the CASA advocate has concerns because my client is childlike. I don't believe that that's a legitimate concern to their physical health and safety. They live in a small town. She has support from both her husband and her mother, and there's also protective daycare if that's the concern. If the PAT program comes in, she will also have that on. She'll have the hands-on parenting and she'll have a support group. I do not think it is fair to hold my client's intellect against her at the end of a case when none of these issues were raised until the last hearing. Thank you.
Right, Ms. Bradley.
Your Honor, the issue of fairness is not what's before the court. The issue is safety of the children. Mr. Gomez has pretty much avoided the question from the court about the issues or the safety issues that are of concern with his paramour, girlfriend, or partner. And as much as we would like to be able to say, yes, let's reunify today or yesterday, the fact is there are one-on-one, hands-on services that are available, that have been worked on at the FGC, ordered by the court, that are going to benefit these parents and benefit the children and improve their safety. And the department has followed those instructions of the court. I'm not saying the department did a great job, but that's not the issue. Before we came to court last time in February, I just don't know that that's as relevant. That's not the question before the court. It's the safety of the children. We know they came into care in a very, very neglected state. We don't want that to happen again because it does affect their mental and physical development. We want these parents to succeed. We want to give them services. There's no animosity to them. It's a very unfortunate situation, and we hope to address it while we still protect the children. And there is evidence of danger of basically neglectful supervision on Angel Lopez's part. We hope to address that. That is the whole point of setting up these services that they can now take advantage of. And when Ms. Hellrung says that nothing will change because of her client's intellect, I don't think that's fair. The services are to benefit her. We're not saying we're going to be able to change her IQ. We're not that presumptuous. We want to train. We want to help her identify threats. We want to give her protocols or steps to follow if there's a whatever situation. And she says she can read, so something simple should be very instructive. This is not directed at her because of her intellect. It is a very important circumstance that needs to be addressed by the department before the children can be safely returned home. And it is in the children's best interests. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cabrera.
Thank you, Your Honor. The issue does appear to be mom's capacity, and what they seem to want, what the department seems to want, is dad to take a step back and for mom to take a step forward and be the primary caretaker. I don't see a problem with the status quo, whereas dad takes the leading role. I think together they work good as a team, and I am ready to see them have more. Right now there are small logistical problems with full reunification, issues with schedules. By mom's testimony, she seemed pretty well versed in that, and it sounded like she'd already been taking steps to address those issues. These are things that I hadn't heard before, but hearing mom on what, I understand they don't have it all figured out, but it sounds good that she's asking the questions, she's trying to figure it out. My opinion, by the parents' engagement, by what they've been doing, I feel like that they deserve the monitored return to be granted. But we're at 4-hour visits twice a week right now. We're not in a place where I feel comfortable just jumping into a monitored return. So what I'm asking the court to do is to order unsupervised visits now to be transitioned into into overnights. What I'd like to see is, I believe we have trial April 1st, maybe a slight move of that trial date, not an extension, to give us a little bit more overnights. And then I'm ready to go with a monitored return, but I feel the parents are where they need to be. They're addressing the issues that need to be addressed. Do we have it all figured out? No, but I think they're doing what they need to do. I think they work well as a team. And I do think it's unfair to be after mom about her mental capacity this much when she's so engaged. This PAT program, it sounds good to me in the fact that they, I think it was looked at as a program for parenting outside of the home, not with the child, but it's fallen into our lap as this program that can see the child in the home, can address these issues that CASA and the department seem to have with her ability to do live parenting with the child. If they're saying they're able to do it, then that, to me, that adds all the more credibility. But again, what I would like to see is an order for increased visits now, so that we can get into monitored return at trial.
All right. And Ms. Holden, Ms. Lopez, I know I've heard from you already. Ms. Holden, I can ask if you have anything to add, or Ms. Lopez, if you have anything to add as CASA at this time.
No, Your Honor.
No.
I think it's all been pretty much said.
The court will find that if Mr. Bruno Gomez was the sole caregiver and the only individual who this court would be returning the children to, I would be much more inclined to find that there's no continuing danger and an immediate return of the children could be possible. That's not the situation here. We have a co-parenting situation that we are continuing to work with, and the court does have concerns about Ms. Lopez that I think can be addressed, as I indicated last time, but not enough time has passed for those concerns to be addressed. And I will say, I find a continuing danger if you have a family group conference and you discuss what you want to see from Ms. Lopez in a parent-child visit, and days later, she fails to engage with those recommendations and almost allows a child to fall off a table, walking on the table. Those are ongoing concerns of this court, and I don't believe an immediate return of the children today is in their best interest or could be done safely at this time to ensure their safety and well-being. I am inclined to agree, though, with Mr. Cabrera's assessment that we need to ensure that there's more time with the parents and these children. And, I'm frustrated that the FGC was not utilized to address the logistical issues that we discussed at our last hearing. And so I am ordering that unsupervised visits begin as long as Mr. Gomez is a part of those visits and will be supervising Ms. Lopez's contact and communication and access to the children at all times. So I will order the department through Belong to come up with a schedule for those unsupervised visits that can progress to overnight visits, as long as Mr. Gomez, again, is supervising Ms. Lopez's contact, communication, and access to the children at all times. This another FGC may be needed for the parties to sit down and discuss the logistical issues that this court would need to absolutely see to support a monitored return. And that monitored, I want to have daycare in place. I heard today schedules that are concerning to this court, that daycare might be an issue. It may not. If there's daycare and protective daycare lined up and ready to go, and there's a schedule for the parents working that would allow that daycare to be in place, that's a critical item for this court to consider to safely reunify these children. I'd also like the PAT program to start. I heard today, contrary to what was represented to me at the beginning of the hearing, that it can begin, the services can begin without the children in the home. And it may allow, given the schedule for visitation, you might be able to schedule an unsupervised visit in which the PAT program provides their services during that unsupervised visit. So I think we can come up with a plan forward that's not let's just see what happens, because I'm not comfortable to make to do that. I'm not. And I want to point out a couple of things. Ms. Gonzalez, this is second hearing in a row that I feel like it's obvious that there are concerns of the department that you're unable to articulate. And I just want to say this too. I feel like Mr. Saldivar, Ms. Helrung, you're doing your jobs. You're great attorneys. You can sense that you have someone here who can't articulate continuing danger, even though it's there and the department feels that there is. We've just got a caseworker who's not in the position to say the right thing. And I'm going to give you some just recommendations, Ms. Bradley, Ms. Gonzalez. This is a question that needs to be prepared to. If you have concerns about continuing danger, you need to do a better job actually articulating them. And I don't know if this is the second time other people have had to step in and make your case for you, if you will. And I think that's unfortunate and an area that you need to work on for this court, because it makes it difficult for this court. And I need better information and it presented in a way that makes clear whatever your concerns are. And it's not enough anymore with the current family code to say I have concerns. That's not enough. You have to show continuing danger. And one of the things I want to point out is that I think that there's a minimization of neglect as a form of continuing danger. And there's a way that could be articulated. And I see it because I just want to point everyone to the removal affidavit, which the first few paragraphs that Miss Alexandra McDonald, the investigator, her summary of her visit to the home on May 20th, 2022 is eerily similar to the testimony I heard at length about concerns about the household in February of 2023. It's almost identical in terms of not having food in the home. It's a total mess. The children are in soiled diapers, so they're not getting their diapers changed. They are, it's a filthy home. And so in 1 month's time, the house may be improved, but the issue is, can it be sustained? And that's what additional time will show this court. So I'm just noting for the record here that there was testimony at the last hearing. I don't want my decisions and misconstrued. What I heard today in conjunction with what I heard the last hearing show continuing danger, along with looking at the circumstances that led to the removal of these children at the beginning of the case. Again, I just urge you all to read that affidavit fresh in light of what was testified to at our last hearing. Because those are ongoing issues. And if we were ready to reunify the children today in good faith, every single one of you would need to tell me these issues have been resolved. And it's not new. These are ongoing issues. It wasn't just Mr. Bruno Gomez's drug test. There were a host of concerns about these children at the time of removal. So maybe I should have been a lot more clear at the last hearing so that we're not coming back here every few weeks to relitigate these same things. I want these issues resolved before I return the children. And we're making progress, but we're not there. And at this point in time, I think I'm going to take Mr. Cabrera up on his recommendation to move our trial setting back another month. So it gives us time with getting these PAT services in place and the unsupervised visits to see how they go. And
Your Honor, I believe we have a jury demand.
oh, right. Well, it most likely is going to need to be an extension. We'll have it as a, and that was part of my notes from the last hearing anyway. With this current timeline, you're not going to get a jury trial in place by then. So, I mean, it's a trial before this court. I'll note that there's a jury demand on file and it most likely will be an extension. And I made that clear. We're not anywhere near trial and terminating parental rights. That's not where we are. Okay. You know, we've made progress. There's just work to do. And there needs to be a contingency plan here. I want to say up front, it's very clear to me that Mr. Gomez and Ms. Lopez have indicated they're in a committed relationship, but there may be ongoing concerns even after services are provided. I don't know. I hope not. I hope that we can address all these concerns. But we need to talk about contingency arrangements for these children in the event there's not significant improvement by mom. The other issue is in person. If we've got any virtual services still in place for Ms. Lopez, it's not clear to me from the testimony today, but like her individual therapy as well. Who is providing that?
Chandra Esparza.
Is it virtual or is it in person?
It's virtual.
Yeah, it's virtual, Your Honor.
All right. I'd like for Belong to look into in-person therapy as well, and that may need to address some transportation issues along with it. I want that explored because I think that's a legitimate point that people have raised. I think it was you, Ms. Helrung, the virtual services, that we need to address that. And I would like in-person therapy addressed as a potential option, at least for Ms. Lopez. It sounds like Mr. Gomez, the therapy that he has in place is probably more convenient for him and is working with that format. Okay. So I am moving the trial setting before this court, before the associate judge, to May the 1st at 11. I understand there's a jury demand. And so the parties need to obtain a jury setting with the district court. And Mr. Cabrera, perhaps you can share your experiences with how you do that from another case with the parties, Mr. Saldivar and Ms. Helrung. And getting
it's going to be an adventure. We'll
yeah.
have some fun. I believe we're conferring about mediation, which I believe would probably be useful in this case. So,
and I had already referred the case to mediation, had I not? Okay,
yes,
so you are getting that set.
We're working on getting that together.
All right, so perhaps in lieu of an FGC, if it's better to have your mediation to address those issues as well, I'll defer to you. I don't want to ask too much of everyone involved here to have multiple meetings. if the topics that I've discussed today can be resolved at a mediation as opposed to an FGC, I'll allow you to do that in terms of when it's scheduled and you can get it accomplished. Okay. Is there anything else we need to address at this time?
Judge, the department's motion to retain the suit on the docket count, is that moved to May as well?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. Nothing further.
Yeah, anything that was set on April the 10th will be vacated and we'll move it to May the 1st. Okay. And just I think we've already got in the agreement that all future hearings, that this format is best for all parties and that there's an agreement to proceed via Zoom. Is that the agreement of all parties in this case for all future hearings, including that May 1st hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good with us.
All right. Okay. Anything further?
No.
If not,
No.
thank you all